Hello, my fireflies, and welcome back to the TheCyanFirefly. It's Lyiat. Of course it's Lyiat. You expecting anyone else by now? Anyway, the game in the background for this particular update is Mass Effect 3, specifically some multiplayer footage I shot on Azalee's Origin account. I lack it for the PC myself, but I felt I should put up some relevant footage for this particular topic. Now, what is this particular topic? Well, it may seem like bandwagoning at this point, but I wanted to throw our opinion into the mix about the extended cut DLC for Mass Effect 3. I also hope it'll generate some interesting commentary on the channel because you guys never discuss anything. Seriously, do I have to start hitting you with a ruddy shovel?
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
Okay, fine. On with the video. So, for those who don't know, BioWare is, or, well, was, a great company responsible for some really awesome video games. I've been following them for a number of years, ever since a little title known as Baldur's Gate. No, not the console game, the kick-ass RPG for the computer that came out before it. I followed them through really all the great titles, Neverwinter Nights, KOTOR, Jade Empire, then they released Mass Effect. Mass Effect was the first game in a trilogy that would bring the collective gaming community on an amazing adventure through the course of the next 5 years. The games had everything: an epic plot, killer story, fun gameplay. The setting was pristine and well thought out. The universe was immense and fun to explore. These games, again, had everything, minor issues aside. Mass Effect was really one of the greatest series to come out in the recent years. It even encouraged me to buy some more unique IP from them in the form of Dragon Age. However, BioWare really started to go downhill, and it started very quickly with Dragon Age 2. Now, I'm not going to discuss Dragon Age 2 here. That would be its own video. But needless to say, I still own Dragon Age Origins, and I no longer possess a copy of Dragon Age 2. Faith in BioWare was very much shaken due to that game, and people were slightly concerned on how Mass Effect 3 was going to turn out. But the trailers and the gameplay looked amazing, and everyone was rather hooked onto the series as it was. The game came out a year after Dragon Age 2 did, and everything seemed fine. For a few days. Now, this game seemed perfect. It had everything that they had promised. An epic storyline filled with pure, undiluted amazing. The battles were incredible. The emotional moments racked the hearts of the players. It was darkened with a Day 1 DLC issue I still feel bad over, but that's not the point of this video either, and I'm not prepared to talk about it right now. So, what happened? The bloody ending happened. I came to the end of the game and actually dropped my Xbox controller on my frickin' foot. It hurt, and I don't mean my foot. The ending had blindsided its players. It was poorly written. It was full of Deus Ex Machina, space magic, and just overall terribleness. They had promised a perfect ending, which is a lot to ask for considering how much went into the series, but it had given its players a half-assed lump of coal. Now, why did this ending suck? It was ridiculous. It took no account to the choices you had made up to that point. For those who don't understand, Mass Effect is an RPG, okay? Now, in an RPG, you get to help construct the story. You make decisions in the world, and the world reacts to your choices. You can choose to save someone, or let them die, and there is a consequence for it. BioWare promised that every choice you had made up to that point would have an effect. They continued insisting that it would up to the day of release, and continued saying after the release that your choices had mattered. Well, guess what? They didn't. Regardless of what you chose, what you had accomplished, the player was stuck with 3 very identical endings, each with their own color. They were pretty endings, but that's all. If all you have going for your ending is the graphical quality, then you have a goddamn problem. And a problem BioWare had. Angry fans stormed the forums, demanding a complete and overwhelming change to the series. I myself was very upset about how it ended. I simply couldn't believe it. Hours upon hours in all 3 games completely goddamn wasted. I was outright furious. After Dragon Age 2, this was just a complete kick to the teeth. Their endings was just the biggest letdown to me and many others in a long, long time. BioWare reacted to the PR storm in a very negative fashion, as did several well-known reviewing websites. I'm not going to name any names, but the term entitled gamers was thrown around quite a lot. BioWare demanded that the player base adhere to its artistic vision, regardless of the actual quality of it. Hey, guess what, BioWare? If we had to respect everyone's artistic vision, then people like Yahtzee and Total Biscuit wouldn't have goddamn jobs. Could you imagine if the guys who made Superman 64 used that argument? I mean, really. I know, apples and oranges, but it is somewhat similar. Superman 64 was a crap game all around, and Mass Effect 3, while mechanically great and having a great overall story, only went crap at the end. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, it's a complete BS argument. Arguments like that are why somebody could put a pile of tin cans on a table and call it artwork. It's not nearly as clever as you think, and the overwhelming majority of people hated it. Speaking of which, do not call a majority a vocal minority. I've yet to meet a single person who's played it through that enjoyed the ending. I found a few BioWare apologists on their forums, but I've never seen someone defend it in real life. The anti-voices were more in number and in scope than those that defended it. It's a simple fact. Anyway, some time passed and BioWare came under increasing pressure and anger from their fan base. People demanding boycotts. Some people even protested in the form of raising a charity fund, which was kinda nice. One man in particular even went to the Better Business Bureau and tried to file a class action lawsuit, for crying out loud. It was just sad. Then, a single beam of hope. BioWare announces an extended cut DLC designed to expand the endings and, hopefully, answer some of the fan issues. I was skeptical, but hopeful. The devs at BioWare had handled the situation poorly so far, and there was very little faith in the company left. They had also continued insisting that they would preserve their artistic image with it, which was somewhat of a backhand to accompany the news. The months passed with no further word. All we knew was that it was going to come out sometime in the summer. June rolled up and still no word. Many gamers, such as myself, had simply moved on and buried the memory of Mass Effect and BioWare with it. Then, a week ago, they announced the DLC was due out on the 26th. It was unexpected and out of the blue. I spent the next few days with a slightly renewed hope in BioWare and Mass Effect. On the 25th, I actually ended up not being able to sleep due to insomnia and, let's just say, mixed excitement. I guess I was just really hoping for something special. Well, I'll tell you now. I was not disappointed. I'm going to be very careful about what I say here, because I understand some of you might not have played it yet. There were some major issues with the original endings that were fixed. For instance, there is a segment in which you are running towards a very important objective. The next thing you know, your companions are simply gone. No explanation as to where they went, why they left you, or even if they're alive or dead. The next you see anything to do with them, they are magically back aboard your ship in the middle of a warp jump away from the system, having completely abandoned the fight against the enemy and left you alone and stranded. BioWare had spent 3 games, nearly 200 hours of gameplay, fleshing out these characters. Not a single one of them would have done this to Shepard, to you. The DLC managed to fix this quite nicely by giving them a reason to separate from you. It even gave them a reason to leave the system, a very good reason in my honest opinion. They are no longer abandoning you. The biggest thing, however, is the full endings themselves. Now, let me start with the one thing I really did not like. And I mean to the point where I'm not even going to acknowledge its existence. It is my one source of contention in this otherwise good apology. BioWare added a 4th ending. See, many of the players, myself included, felt the reasoning of the, well, let's say entity, was wrong. Shepard had spent the past 3 games proving time and time again that synthetic and organic life could learn to get along. Or he had in my game at least. He stood for equality and solidarity between all races, and even managed to bring peace in a long ongoing war between organics and synthetics that had even predated humanity's spaceflight capabilities. As such, many players wanted an option to tell the entity, fuck off. It seemed like BioWare did not like the fuck you and your marker approach that Isaac had made. Isaac being the main protagonist of Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 1. See, I encountered this ending as a joke. I had done it before the DLC had been released. I raised my gun and shot at the entity. Last time, this had done nothing. This time, the entity growled at me and marched off, leaving the galaxy to be wiped clean, leaving you to fail. The races that come after you learn from your mistakes and do what you couldn't do. What a damn slap to the face. They shouldn't have included this at all. It was also rather poor compared to the other 3 endings, and I'm done talking about this one regardless. It just annoys the hell out of me. Now, the other 3 endings were actually given proper explanations. It's actually explained clearly and completely what your choice will do to the galaxy. And after you've made the choice, it shows just what the repercussions are. And not just for that choice, but for what every action you had made thus far. It gave closure, which is all we really wanted in the first place. We didn't want a happy butterfly ending where everybody lives and you all get to be together in a big house on a pretty hill. We didn't give a damn about that. We just wanted some damn closure on the game. This right here is an apology, folks. No, it doesn't make up for the Day 1 DLC issue. No, it doesn't make up for the reaction from the devs. It certainly doesn't make up for Dragon Age 2. But it's a show of faith from BioWare to us. BioWare fixed the endings and gave us what we deserved. BioWare has earned some respect from the community, and I really expect you all to show it. Demonstrate that we are not a bunch of self-entitled slugs. And do remember, BioWare, that you're still on thin ice. Yes, you've gotten some of our trust back, but not all of it. Don't screw up again, or I really do not think there will be a recovery for you this time. Now, as I'm wrapping up here, I really ask that you guys comment with your opinions on this matter. Agree or disagree as you will. Hell, make a video response for all I care. Just state your opinion. I'll even revisit the topic if I find enough to talk about. Just talk and provide us with some sodding feedback. This has been Lyiat with the TheCyanFirefly, and I will see you next time.